On today's show, the Pacers finally make the deal for Pascal Siakam we've been waiting for. Is it a risk worth taking? And what are the Toronto Raptors doing in all this? We'll talk about that and more on today's Locked On NBA. Let's go.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome. You are Locked On to the NBA. My name is Nick Angstadt, host of the Locked On Mavericks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show, making Locked On NBA your first listen today, where the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, leave a 5-star review, like the video, and comment anything below. Let us know in the comment section who won the trade. Pacers, Raptors, Siakam, Tyrese Haliburton. Somebody could have won the trade. We'll get into that trade. We'll talk about that. And, of course, we're going to play Count It Up, where we count all the most interesting, fun things in the NBA, including Embiid making a statement to Jokic. Do you like it? Did you not like it? And Deandre Ayton didn't show up to work today. I'm going to tell you why. Fascinating to me. And then, of course, Mike Brown with his laptop going at the refs. We'll talk about that. And you knew that was going to be a counted up.
I'm so glad it is.
As soon as you saw it, that was going to be a counted up. So we'll talk about all that. But first, let's talk about Pascal Siakam. The trade finally happened. It's the trade that I feel like we've all been waiting for, I don't know, years now, it feels like. The Pacers get Pascal Siakam. Apparently, they're getting Kyra Lewis as well. And the Raptors get Bruce Brown, Jordan Nora, a first-round pick from the Pacers in 2024, a first-round pick that is the worst of OKC, Utah, Houston, or the Clippers in 2024. So not a great pick there. And then the Pacers, whatever the Pacers pick ends up being, so probably a late first. And then they also get a 2026 first that is top 4 protected from the Pacers. How did the Pacers come out in this game, in this trade? They get Pascal Siakam. They upgrade their front court, which is what they wanted to do. They gave up a couple of picks. They not all that great. They lose Bruce Brown, but they basically upgrade Bruce Brown, their free agency get from this past season, to Pascal Siakam.
I think it's a good get if you can get Pascal to sign long-term here. That's kind of the biggest thing about all of this, right? Because he's come out and said he's not signing with whatever team trades for him. He's going to test free agency.
Okay. So the report comes out, and then as soon as the trade goes down, Woj comes out with Pascal Siakam is very happy to be going to the Pacers, and the Pacers are very encouraged by the fact that they can re-sign him in this offseason. It's like, okay, was it all just leverage?
I doubt it. I mean, why wouldn't he test free agency unless the Pacers come at him with a huge contract immediately and you're able to re-sign? Maybe it is. Maybe long-term that is going to be kind of what it ends up being. Maybe he tests the market to see what he's worth, comes back to the Pacers and gives them first dibs at a contract offer. But even so, right, like I look at this just in the realm of this season. And I do think that this is a great get for the Pacers. Pacers already have a very athletic front court, right? You got Miles Turner. Now you're adding Pascal Siakam into that. You've got Jalen Smith. You've got Obi Toppin, who's giving you some good minutes kind of up and down in a weird role on that team, honestly. Like every now and then it's like he'll play 20+ minutes. You're like, oh, he kind of can play. This is pretty cool to see. Then he'll have that random game where it's like 15 or 14. You're like, what happened there? Like, what's going on with that? But for the most part, I look at this Pacers team as this is a great upgrade, especially with Haliburton in that lineup. You know he's going to be able to get everybody involved. You're going to improve already what you were good at in the rebounding game. You're going to improve yourself offensively, and Pascal maybe can help a little bit more defensively. Not a great defender, but somebody that definitely can get the job done. And this Pacers team needs all the defensive help that they can get, because for all the greatness we see offensively, defensively, the woes are crazy. So I do think that this is a great get for the Pacers, but it does come with that caveat of you got to get this contract done probably before this season's over to feel confident about it. But going into free agency, you hope that he's just going to like, hey, you guys traded for me, so I'll give you first dibs, but I'm going to go see what people will offer me.
Siakam wants the money. The Pacers can offer him the money, right? Their money's not really tied up in a lot of other stuff. They've got Miles Turner next year for 19, basically $20 million.
Yeah.
Halliburton's deal kicks in next year at $35 million. Got like Aaron Nesmith at 11. TJ McConnell at a non-guaranteed like 9. Benedict Mathurin still in the rookie deal at $7 million. Got Obi Toppin, restricted free agent. I don't think he's getting that much. They've been trying to trade Buddy Hield for years. He's an unrestricted free agent. And it's not like there's a lot of other guys that you're going to be signing to big money. So they've got the cap space to sign him. They've got they've got cap space right now. I think they're the only team that's carrying cap space right now. So they've got the room, and Indiana's not getting a big free agent. They did just get Bruce Brown, so good for them. Yeah. They got him. They had to overpay for him, I think, a little, but they're not going to get a ton of big names like this. This opportunity for them was not just going to pop up in some other way. They'd have to figure it out in the draft or make a big trade like this. And this is what they did. And honestly, they don't lose a lot as far as players right now. You're talking about the right now and how much it makes them better right now. It's just Bruce Brown. Upgrading Bruce Brown to Pascal Siakam, I think, is a really big upgrade. They're going to be really good in transition. It gives them another threat, like another scoring threat. Did they need another scoring threat? I mean, this team is such a good offensive team.
I mean, I guess maybe you get Pascal to maybe work you through some of the time that Haliburton's going to be out. Like
100%.
There's kind of that aspect of it as well. You don't want to fall too far back in the other direction. But I love the point that you bring up about, listen, this is how some of these small market teams are going to have to operate. There's nobody signing up to go say, hey, I can't wait to go down to Indianapolis. I'm not going to lie to you. When you sent out kind of the locations for All-Star Weekend and stuff like that, I was like, oh yeah, this is in Indianapolis, isn't it? Like, I'm not as excited to go. I'm going, right? I'll see you guys down there. If you're down there, come say hi. But like, you kind of look at it and you're just like, oh yeah, I forgot about that part of it where it's like in Indianapolis. So I think that this is how some of these teams are going to operate. This is how they're going to have to acquire these players. I think this opens up an interesting market for a lot of the names for some of the trade value players that are out there, right? The Zach LaVines, the DeJounte Murrays, because our team's going to be willing to overpay to solidify the team that they have to make sure that you come to their team, possibly under contract, or in Pascal's case, right, where we can offer you the money to stick around. We hope that you fall in love here. We give you all the money in the world and you're able to stay here. I think that that's how Indiana had to do it. That's how we've seen them do it. And it's worked out for them to this point. Haliburton was a trade, right? Pascal now coming in there. It looks like this is a good way to build a team for them, and they have a good footing on it.
The question now is, how much better does this trade make the Pacers? Because you've got the top tier. I don't know exactly where you stand, but I think the Celtics are in a tier of their own at 1 in the East. Then you've got the Bucks and Sixers, who are kind of like on the same level to me. You can parcel through those two, but they're kind of on the same level. And then there's like the Cleveland, Knicks, Heat, and then the Pacers are already in that tier. Did they just bump up to the top of that third tier, basically?
I'd still probably have the Cavs at the top of that tier. I'd say they're above the Knicks, though, right? And I think that maybe we get that Pacers-Knicks rivalry back.
Especially with the Mitchell Robinson injury. That one's tough.
And I just think, right, like Pascal to me fits in. Like, this is going to be a tough transition for him. It's not like you're going to have like a hard time figuring out how to fit an athletic wing into that Pacers system. They've already got 3 of them that look really good. And now you're just kind of adding another one into that whole scenario. So I feel like Pascal's going to really be able to fit in with what the Pacers want to do kind of quickly. I think that's going to boost them up. They got to deal with the time that they're going to be missing Haliburton for. Once that all kind of comes together, though, and gels, he's going to be able to find guys the ball. He's going to make their lives easy. So I think this is a good trade for them now. I do think it bumps them up. I don't think it puts them anywhere near the top. I'll say this, like the Bucks are 28-13, and we still kind of don't know what they are. So like there's a lot of season left. You know what I mean? There's a lot of season left to play out to kind of figure out where teams are going to end up being slated. Don't be surprised if maybe this thing clicks a little bit quicker and we see the Pacers bump into that that second tier where it's Milwaukee and Philly.
Yeah, because Siakam's an All-NBA player twice in his career. And so they're adding that and upgrading from Bruce Brown there. I think it's a really good get for them. Like you said, if they can get him to re-sign, fit him in seamlessly, which we think he will. And then, let's see what it is. I like that front court of Siakam and Miles Turner. Like that just, it fits so well, it seems, together.
Well, and I'm not going to lie to you, right? Like I love the front court. And then I look at the bench and I'm like, yo, might be like, we talked about the Celtics and how they're so top heavy, right? The Sixers and how it kind of feels like they're top heavy. The Bucks maybe have one of the deeper benches in the Eastern Conference right now. But now I look at Indiana, I'm like, my God, like they have probably the deepest bench in the NBA right now.
Because they didn't have to give up anybody.
Yeah.
They didn't have to give up. You thought maybe Bennett Mathurin, his name had gotten thrown around.
Yep.
Andrew Nembhard has been a good, rookie for them. Not a rookie, a good point guard for them.
Yeah.
Maybe Obi Toppin, Isaiah Jackson, like Jarris Walker, their rookie wasn't even in this. I mean, they didn't even have to throw Oscar Tshiebwe in this deal.
Yeah, you're still running out there with a bench of Jalen Smith, Andrew Nembhard, Benedict Mathurin, Obi Toppin, and you figure out kind of what the PG is. And then Jarice Walker probably ends up.
Buddy's been coming off the bench.
Buddy Hield as well. Yeah, like you're probably talking about Indiana having one of the deeper teams in the NBA with some really good players in that starting lineup. It's going to be interesting to see the rest of the season what they're able to work out.
Coming up, what are the Raptors doing?
Yeah, there's that.
That's all you need to know. Coming up. Today's episode brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks daily fantasy made easy. All you have to do is go to prizepicks.com and pick the more or less on stat projections on 2 to 6 players. You're not playing against all these wise guys and all these computers that are all over the place trying to figure out, all right, let me game the system and let me make it hard for anybody to make any money. You're just playing against the projections.
Guy, eh?
Yeah, wise guy. we were watching cartoons before.
Heavens, the Murgatroyd.
The wise guy. Prize Picks and the wise guy. You just go to Prize Picks. And for example, Jordan Love against the 49ers on Saturday. 248.5 passing yards, more or less, Pat.
The Jordan Love stat. That's the one you want to bring up?
That is the one.
That's the one. That's the one. Less. Much less. This guy.
Christian McCaffrey, 90.5 yards against the Packers. Rushing yards.
I'll take the over in that.
Okay, more on that. And then let's do CJ Stroud, 244.5 against the Baltimore Ravens.
Let me go more on that. I'll take
more on that one. Put down $20. I can win 100 on the power play. Check it out, prizepicks.com. And if you go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA, you put down $100 and they'll match you $100 as well. Again, prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Also want to tell you about LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs is the place where you want to find the right candidates that are qualified. At one point in my life, as the manager of the Locked On NBA channel, the Bulls hosts were leaving, and I needed to figure out how to replace the Bulls hosts. And I found this guy right here, Pat the Designer. And I needed to figure out where it was. You may be in that situation too. I wish it took me a while to find Pat, but if I had LinkedIn at the time and LinkedIn Jobs, I probably would have been able to find him faster because he is a qualified candidate. And you're going to find those qualified candidates too on LinkedIn. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs the #1 in delivering qualified hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn also knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and you might not have time or resources to hire. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA. Being an everydayer, listening every day, we have a daily Locked On show that covers your team. Check the link in the description to find a show that covers your team every day. Also, check the Locked On Sports Today YouTube channel and the channel on Fire Stick TV. We've got a 24/7 streaming program. It's just all the stuff. We had the Raptors show from Sean Woodley on the Pascal Siakam trade up within like 30 minutes. And it was like it was live. It's great. You're just like watching live TV. It's cool. Locked On Sports Today on YouTube. Let's talk about the Raptors side of it as we talk about Sean Woodley and his bemoaning of this trade. He was not a fan on Locked On Raptors. He did not like what they did. He thought that they got pennies on the dollar. We mentioned that the Pacers didn't get a whole lot. Didn't give a whole lot up in this trade, even though it was 3 first-round picks. One of them wasn't theirs. There was only 2 first-round picks from the Pacers. Thoughts on what the Raptors got out of this deal?
Picks. That's really how you got picks. I didn't like listen, Jordan Nwora, okay. The players that they got back are solid role players, right? Like I understand why Sean Woodley's bemoaning this trade because when you look at how the Raptors have been playing, right? Like it's a lot of loud excitement post-trade that hasn't led to wins. Right? Like all we've heard is RJ Barrett's been hooping.
Did tonight.
Did tonight, yes. Tonight it was a dominant win. Ridiculous what they were doing at the half. I believe I saw with 7 minutes to go in the third, it was 82-57. Ridiculous. Miami, you should be ashamed. But I just feel like when you look at it, right, like it's a lot of excitement, it's a lot of loudness, and then like you hear all of that, and you run over to the computer to watch the tape. You're like, wait, they got beat by 12 tonight? Like, what are you telling me about RJ Barrett looking great tonight and these guys lost? So, like, it doesn't feel like they're making moves that are putting them in the right direction. Now, things need time to gel. Things need time to move, to all come together. I guess now you know that you're going 100% on Scotty Barnes being the number one option on this team. Like
100%.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's no more of like, it's Pascal's team, it's Scotty's team. It's like, what the heck's Fred VanVleet doing back here for like the 10th year in the row? Like, it's Scotty Barnes' team, but it does nothing for you this year. It doesn't seem like, because you got all these pieces, but you're still getting the crap kicked out of you on almost a nightly basis. So what are you really getting from this? The picks are going to be, I mean, they're first round picks, but they're end of the first round picks here, boys. You just made the Pacers a lot better. It's not like they're going to fall off the face of the earth.
Right. Yeah, they did get better. And so you didn't get a whole lot. They also didn't lose him for nothing, which is literally what they just did with Fred VanVleet. Yeah. They just lost him for nothing. So at the very least, they didn't do that, right? Because it seemed like they were heading towards that direction. It didn't seem like they were going to trade him. There was all the rumors about Pascal Siakam's not going to sign with anybody, and so they won't make a deal, and then maybe they'll re-sign him. But instead they don't. Here's the thing about the Raptors.
Yeah.
They owe their first round pick this year to the Spurs. It's top 6 protected. They're right now in 7th in the Tankathon standings. So does this make them worse enough? Do they get worse than Memphis or Portland or Charlotte? They're not catching Washington, San Antonio, or Detroit.
No, it's impossible to catch Detroit.
Hey,
remember 2 weeks ago when I said they may not get another win, and you were like, they'll find one.
The Pistons?
The Pistons. Remember that? You remember that? Remember that 2 weeks ago when you're like,
they have 4 wins. They found one.
The 4th win was the win that broke the streak. What do you mean they found one?
No,
Sorry,
they just
Coop.
won against Washington on Monday. The third win was the one that broke the streak.
It doesn't count.
No, I was right. Well, hey, Kuzma said you just don't want to be that team, and they ended up being that too.
Immediately
with
that team.
With the Raptors, though.
Yeah.
Their pick is top 6 protected. Does this make them worse enough? And do they trade Pirtle and try and do something else? Because at this point, I mean, are you just trying to retool real fast? Because I don't know. And then they could flip Bruce Brown too. Bruce Brown's 27. He's not exactly on the quickly Barrett, Scotty Barnes timeline right now.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I would say I would love to see Zach LaVine representing the country of Toronto, and you just bring us back. Jacopo.
Wait, stop.
Just run it back. Just run it back.
Hold on, do you realize what you just said?
Let's run it back.
You just said the country of Toronto.
Oh, I'm sorry. The country of Canada. I'm sorry. The country of Canada, the city of Toronto. I would love to see. Just send us Jacopo, who's basically just younger Vooch. Send us. We'll figure out some of the pieces. No, I don't think that this makes them bad enough. I don't like.
They're a half game back from Memphis, who was in 6th.
And it just, here's the thing. You got rid of Pascal and the team doesn't seem any different. Like I watched the team tonight without.
They'll be worse.
You think they'll be worse?
Siakam's a good player. Yeah.
We've seen, but it's not to say he's not a good player, but they kind of just got those guys, right? Like you're like, oh, Pascal's
they have one less win than the Hawks. It's hard to get wins in the NBA right now.
I mean, it's just one of those things to me where it's like Pascal's out of the lineup. Well, we got Scotty. We still got Jakob. We still got, like, there's still so many options that you can go with that just keep you mediocre. So I don't know. I don't think that they get crazy worse.
They don't need to get crazy worse. They just need to get a couple wins worse. A couple wins worse.
Yeah, but you need to not win a lot to stay top 6 protected. I don't think that they're
not winning a lot now.
Yeah, 16.
They're
16,
right there.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. Okay, I don't think the Raptors did great
because they're 16-25 now, basically.
Yeah, and the Grizzlies have 15 wins, so they're right there. I mean, they if they stay where they are, they could still keep their pick. I mean, it's not terrible chances for them to keep.
How many more games the Grizzlies going to get? That's the question.
Well, yeah, with now all their injuries.
Like nobody's left on the Grizzlies.
They all of a sudden started beating teams though, so I don't know what's going on with that. They beat the Mavs. They beat another team. It wasn't a great deal for the Raptors as far as value. but they have a direction now. They're rebuilding. They're just full tilt rebuilding around Scotty. They got Emmanuel quickly. You got RJ Barrett. What do you do with Bruce Brown, Jakob Poeltl? Do you keep them? Do you like you have a direction now where you're like, all right, we're rebuilding this thing.
But see, I think that's the tough part, right? Like, this isn't a rebuild. This barely is a retool. You have 3 players that are really good players. You just don't seem to know how to use them all yet. Right? Like, RJ Barrett's a good player. Scotty Barnes is an above good player. He's not great yet. He's a really good basketball player. And Emmanuel Quickly's been a really, really good point guard. I think he's just got to settle in up there in Toronto and kind of figure out the scheme and stuff like that. Like, that's not a rebuild by any means. Like, that's still you trying to go in and compete every game. Now, whether you do it or not is up to you, but
not fully. I mean, they still got worse as far as right now talent play, because losing OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam for Quickly, Barrett, Bruce Brown, and then the picks that they have.
Yeah.
Like, you're getting worse, I think. But you could be better in a couple of years, or you could be better, at the beginning of next year. So at least they've got a direction now. That's the only thing with Toronto that I can try and parse and be like, all right, this is their direction. Gary Trent too. You could trade him too.
Poor Toronto.
Sorry, Sean. They won a title. I've got his book on my shelf where they won a title. I still remember those days. So they got it, and it happens to so many title teams. You win the title, and then you bungle the next couple of years, and then the title team just slowly erodes around. Like, remember the Lakers with the Kobe titles?
Yeah.
And like Pau Gasol went to the Bulls, and then he became an all-star again. We were like, wait, what happened to this Pau Gasol?
Well, I think the difference is, right, when you take the Kobe off of the team.
Well, Kawhi has been in Clippers for like 5 years. So
yeah, and the Raptors have been mediocre since he left.
That's what I'm saying. It started eroding there.
When you take the Kobe completely off of the team, all of a sudden the team falls apart.
They took him out of the country of Toronto and put him.
All right, guy. There we go. Right.
Coming up, let's play Count It Up, where we count all the most interesting, fun things in the NBA, including Embiid making a proclamation, Ayton missing some work today, and Mike Brown getting out a laptop for some proof. We'll talk about that and more coming up. Today's episode brought to you by Game Time. Game Time has the tickets for you. Over the holidays, I went to go see Les Mis. I saw it in person. I saw it at Fair Park here in Dallas, and it was great. And I got my tickets on Game Time. That's right, I did. It's not just sporting events. You can get all kinds of comedy events. You can get theater performances, musicals, all kinds of stuff at Game Time. See the view from your seat before you buy. You know exactly what you're getting. I knew exactly where my seat was going to be. It was not going to be a good seat because I was getting them last minute, and I waited way too long, but they still had them on Game Time, and they were way cheaper. And I looked around, and I was like, I paid way less than all these people sitting around me, and our view is just as bad because I knew exactly what I was getting. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event, and even an hour after it starts. So if you want to second half it, you want to go after intermission and see the encore, you can go check that out. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app or go to gametime.co. Create an account. Use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your purchase. Download the app. Terms apply. Again, create an account. Redeem the code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. All right, Pat, it's that time of the week again where we count up the most interesting, fun things in the NBA. It's
Big Chicken, baby. Zion Williamson and porn star.
Take that for that.
Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up.
The Sixers beat the Nuggets this week, 126-121. Jokic scored 25 and 19. Embiid had 41 and 7 with 10 assists. Embiid, after the game, went up to Nikola Jokic, and when asked what he told Nikola Jokic when he went up to him, he said, I just told him he's the best player in the league.
Count it up.
Do you like Embiid admitting that? Do you want him to say that he's the best player? Or do you think he's playing a mind game?
I think we've always seen this, right? Like, there is an understanding of who the best player is and who it isn't. It's not to say that, excuse me, it's not to say Embiid isn't one of the best players in the league, but right, even Giannis talked about Kevin Durant as the best player in the world. We've seen KD talk about LeBron as the best player in the world. Doesn't mean that you can't go out and beat that guy. It means that you have an understanding of beating the best player in the world and what you're going up against. I think that Embiid has a tough argument, right? Maybe you could say Embiid's a little bit better defensively, but like Jokic is pretty much better at everything else on the court than
he's
Embiid
the reigning
is.
MVP. Shouldn't he, in the status that he is, as maybe second, third, fourth best player in the NBA, like one of the best players in the NBA, just won an MVP? Shouldn't he have the mentality of I'm the best guy no matter what, whoever I go up against?
Doesn't mean that you can't go out there and say I'm going to go beat the best guy or I can be the best guy.
I'm going full Stephen A on this one. Isn't that why he doesn't win in the playoffs every year? Because he doesn't believe that he's the best player?
I mean, Giannis won the finals when he literally didn't believe he was the best player in the series. I mean, like, no, it's not why. Like, I don't have an issue with him admitting that, because there is some times where you just realize, like, I think this dude, like, my favorite Charles Barkley quote is when he lost in the finals. Up so many. He comes home. His daughter says, "Daddy, I thought you said you were going to win." And he looked at his daughter. He said, "I've never felt this in my life, but baby, I think it's somebody better at basketball than me." Like, sometimes you get beat and you just got to admit it. Now, go beat that guy. Don't sit there and act like you can't beat that guy.
He did.
Yeah, I mean, but listen, you got to real recognize real.
Speaking of real recognize real, Deandre Ayton, as someone that is asked off of work from a job I didn't like a lot, DeAndre Ayton did not show up to work today. Did not even get to the arena for the Portland Trailblazers game tonight. According to reporters, Ayton tried for hours to combat the sheet of ice leading out of his neighborhood, and the team sent people out there to help him as well, but to no avail. He is out for tonight's game versus Brooklyn. Give me, on a scale of 0 to 5 caps,
Count it up.
how much do you believe Ayton's story that they couldn't get him out? They sent people out there. How did they not drive back with him? Like, they sent people there. Couldn't he come, like, walk out and go down to the arena?
Yeah, that's what's throwing me off. That's why I'm confused. I got to go 5 caps on this, because, like, why
does he live on top of a mountain? Like, is he the Grinch where he lives on top of a mountain?
Listen, maybe. I don't know. It is Portland. Like, he is in Oregon here. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he might not have some hills and valleys that
he lives in a hole inside of a 50-foot tall tree at the very top. No one could get to him.
I think the weird part is, right, like, if the team sent people,
this is my thing.
Why wouldn't they come back with him? Unless they, but see, hear me out on this though, because DeAndre Ayton is 7 feet tall, right? Like,
give him air quotes.
This is 7 feet. Yeah, he comes up a little short when standing next to some of these 7-footers out here, but 7 feet tall, right? Like, did they go in Priuses? Like, what was the cars that they were driving to go get it? I don't know, man. This
gets all 5 caps for me.
I'm calling cap, but like, the team sent people.
Did the people not come back? Do we have eyes on the Portland Trailblazers staffers that got sent to DeAndre Ayton's house?
That's why it's like, is it cap though? Because, like, why would they come back and be like, yep, couldn't get Ayton out?
Dude, because I don't think they could get him out of the house.
Oh, they couldn't even. You think they couldn't even get him out of the crib?
What's the thing we've heard from Ayton's camp in the past? With the video games and like him playing late into the night and like dude called in sick to work is what I'm thinking.
You think Ayton was that?
He looked outside and he's like, "Damn it, I wore my PJs inside out. I spun around. I did the dance. I did the snow dance. I earned this. I'm not going to work tonight."
Okay, that I'll give you a little bit more. I'm gonna say 5 caps on that.
All 5
so you're
caps.
saying this is a cover up by Portland and Ayton, and it's a group cover up.
The staffers that showed up are like the Ball Boys or whoever, and paid them off.
Yeah,
he paid them off.
They said the Ball Boys, Mr. Ayton,
in a van.
Says Portland on the side. It's just Damian Lillard still on the other side. He saw the van pull up and he was like, "I'm not doing this."
Damian Lillard. Mike Brown, the coach of the Kings, after a loss to Milwaukee, brought a laptop up to the press conference table to watch back calls from the game, and for like 5 minutes started showing calls and going back. Mike Brown had said that he had to cancel his All-Star break plans because he got fined $50,000.
Big shot.
He said, quote, "I was going to take my grandson skiing in Lake Tahoe, but I called my wife and told her we probably won't be able to do it today because I got fined the same amount that a teacher gets paid in a year. That's not what he said, but
I was going to say, wow. Was that shot randomly? Teachers didn't deserve that. Come on, Mike Brown, do better.
My question is,
Count it up.
is this the evolution of the Pat Bev showing the ref the camera thing?
Nah, Pat Bev's still better. Pat Bev's still better because Pat Bev got it from like a staffer, which is tough. Actually, Pat Bev might be worse because didn't that guy get fired for that?
Oh, the camera guy?
Because he literally took it from like a team photographer.
Yeah, and went up and
And
showed
they
the
were
ref.
like, or he got like fined or suspended. Something happened with that guy that like hurt his money because of Pat Bev. But no,
he's
Pat
hanging
Bev,
out with Ayton and
Pat Bev was the greatest one because he went out there knowing he was going to get a tech. Like maybe I don't know. There's been a lot of ref calling out.
It's $50K and it's counted
that's
up.
a lot. That's
is
a lot.
$50K too much?
Yeah, because 50K is too much. All the fines are too much to me because you're fining coaches and players for calling out the mistakes
Publicly
that your referees make when you don't change the policies when they send you the tapes privately.
Yeah, there are channels for teams, by the way, because the Mavericks have had this a couple of times where there's been a tech or some kind of call and they contest it. They can send it up to the league because Luka would be up till like his 15th, 16th tech. Yeah. And when he gets the 16th one where he'll be suspended another game, the Mavs can then contest it. There are back channels for them to obviously do that.
For sure.
But they need to make some kind of statement. So that's why Mike Brown brings the laptop up and he's like, all right, well, if I'm not making a statement with back channels, I've got to show I'm standing on business right now. And this is what's going on in my team. It's pretty impressive that it was that night.
It's just one of those things to me where like I believe the same night the Raptors head coach ended up calling out for Scotty Barnes not getting foul calls versus the Lakers, right? Like this is years of this at this point. We're 3-4 years into like referees just getting absolutely eviscerated and basically just going, it doesn't matter because nothing's gonna happen to me. Like the worst thing that happened was they were like, maybe we shouldn't have guys ref certain playoff games, or maybe we should like. No, there's some bad refs in the league. Like we need, it's time for guys to be held accountable, and that's okay.
I'm not going to pretend like I know how to change this.
No, I don't.
It's just going to keep happening.
You gotta figure something out though, because it's very much like I want to say Fred VanVleet talked about it last year. Like you're changing people's careers in some of these games because of how you're calling the game. That's messing up people's money. That's messing up people's futures because you feel like you need to make the game. Because a lot of times, right, it's an entertainment business. And you see that it's so blatant now, it's not even hidden. How late some of these foul calls come because they want to speed up the pace of the game. Where
the Curry one the other day where Curry gets fouled or like he falls down in the middle of the court. He sits on the ground and then he starts clapping and then they call the foul after he starts clapping. Like that one, it was egregious the other night.
It's just and it's all the time now. You see if the layup goes in, we don't call it.
Right.
If the layup doesn't go in, we call it. And refs have literally said that is the mandate from the league to keep pace of play up. That's a joke. If it's an and one, it's an and one. If it's a foul, it's a foul. Forget the pace of play. Let's call fouls here, boys. Let's also play big boy basketball.
Yeah, and then if they let him play, then Embiid would not lead the league in scoring anymore. So.
Yeah, well, Embiid's got to stop flopping. There's no way he's not getting more flopping texts out here. Embiid got hit. Embiid got hit by like a 6'1" point guard the other day, and he hit the ground like somebody had shot him.
He's pulling the Darth Sidious in midair.
Yeah,
spinning in midair. There you go. Let us know in the comment section who won the trade, the Pacers or the Raptors. What do you think about both sides of the trade? And tomorrow we'll be back with Wes Goldberg and with Adam Mares. Always smart stuff covering the NBA. Great stuff tomorrow. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On NBA. Bye-bye. Boom. About to go hang out with Deandre Ayton.
Yeah.
Bring our shovels and get him out.